Welcome to the Naked Coach Collective. We're not just your average coaches, we're your powerhouse of inspiration and your no-nonsense guide to unlocking your hidden potential. We are an eclectic mix of four, each with a unique journey, but we share a passion for transformation through coaching. Tune in every week for topical discussions and witty banter on all things coaching. There might be a few laughs along the way too, but don't be fooled. We're serious about helping you navigate life's twists and turns with clarity and confidence. Are you ready? Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the Naked Coach Collective podcast. Yes. Have you got it handy, Ian?
I'm just about to get it up. Oh, oh, mate.
You didn't just say that out loud, did you?
I have had a Morgan Spice in Coke. Forgive me.
Have you been snorting the Coke?
You've not shared it. Oh.
I don't bloody share alcohol. That's
Yeah, I feel the urge now to have something similar. I know you've done that, but I would have it without Coke because I'm a hardened woman.
Oh, I'm well hard. My name's Sarah.
God, you just said that word, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
B, you're disgusting.
Potty mouth. Potty.
And mindset, because when you say transform your mindset, what, you know, for some people it's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know either.
Good Monday. Yeah, and I mean, I've got a lower voice at the moment, so I probably sound slightly sexier, so that might help.
Hello, Jermaine.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Right
okay.
now. Do it right now.
No, I'm doing it in front of you lot.
Go on. You know you want to. You know you want to.
Have you got a limiting belief about it?
No.
What's holding you back, girl?
You should find a coach for that.
Do you know any good ones?
No.
Boom.
Stripping it bare.
Yeah, and tassels and tits.
Did you say tits? Did you say tits out loud? How very dare you?
I'm glad we're still recording. That's going in.
Did she say tits?
It's like, did you just say
Tits.
Tassel tits and strip.
Oh, you got ears.
exactly?
They just colour up just like that. I get darker, so I always sort of go here and see my straps. So it's like
Me too.
That nice bikini you're wearing.
That mankini. Is that mankini?
Bikini strap,
Mankini.
and just like that.
Mankini straps, isn't it, that do it?
Oh, should we make a start then?
Hold on here. Got to make sure we look gorgeous.
Oh, here we go.
Got my lippy on.
Any lipstick on the teeth.
No, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Bit rouge.
Ian, your hair needs brushing.
Oh, yes.
That's so naughty. That's like oh.
Are we ready to start now?
We are.
Now I've pampered myself. Who's going to start?
Okay.
As in, like, let's do a hello, listeners, from the top kind of thing.
Okay.
Who wants to go? I say B because it was your idea, this one.
I did it on the last one, which was
Sarah did it on the last one.
Go.
I can't remember what we did last time. Okay, here we go.
Go, B, go.
Okay.
Oh, hold on, guys. Are we keeping this to 25 to 30 minutes or 25 to 30 minutes? Let's try it.
Let's
'cause
just
I'm
stop dead on
knackered.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, let's just stop dead on 9 o'clock. Okay, cool.
That's
Okay.
it. Episode finished.
End of.
Okay, go.
Go.
Hi, listeners. Welcome to another episode of the Naked Coach Collective. And you've got all four of us here tonight, and we are going to be talking coach speak. You know, it's like any job you have, there's a language, isn't there? There's like an internal language, and you just assume everybody knows what it means. And when you get into the coaching world, you start using all this language, and it isn't until you talk to someone who's not in the coaching world you realize that actually they don't understand what these things mean. So we're going to debunk them for you tonight. There you go. We're going to tell you exactly what they mean, so that if you're a coach, you're up and coming coach, remember when you speak to your audience, they need to understand what you're talking about. And if you're looking for coaching and you see these words, you'll know what they mean. So let's go. And I think the first one that I think gets used a lot is limiting beliefs. So which one of you wants to take that one away?
Well,
Jump in there.
Oh,
All right, okay, limiting
Let's
beliefs.
not all dive in at once.
Silence is golden.
We're
Okay.
keeping that in.
Okay, limiting beliefs. Here we are. I mean, I just look on that as something that it's something that you feel about yourself that doesn't serve you. So it could have come about when you were younger, or this is something that we do in coaching, is we try and identify potentially where that's come from, where you've got this feeling that that's either you're not good enough, you can't do something isn't, you're not right for something, and it's how you feel about yourself that isn't serving you at all. Could be something like fear, for example. So I could have a limiting belief and I fear talking to new people that I don't know. So it's not serving me. I'm not able to communicate with people, make friends, network, colleagues, and build relationships because of that initial fear of talking to someone I don't know. Now, that may have come from wherever it's come from, but it's a limiting belief because it's stopping me from progressing. And that's kind of where I feel limiting beliefs, the basics of it is, it's not good for you. It's not helping you, it's not serving you.
I've got kind of a flip to that. So I obviously, and I mentioned this in the very first bloody episode that we did, but I'm going to talk about it again because it was so mind-blowing for me. But I've got one where the limiting belief was good to a certain point. And it's from myself, where I had this limiting belief that was given to me when I was a child, working with my dad on weekends when, I don't know, 10, 11, we were working on the peat works and what have you. And it was a case of him saying there's a difference between hard work and working hard. And there's also the difference with working hard at hard work. So that always put in the back of my mind, I need to work hard at hard work. And to him, hard work was laboring. And so to me, that kind of passed on to me as well without me realizing it. And so I went through my whole start of my career as a kind of based in an office, not viewing that as hard work. So thinking, okay, so not only do I have to work hard, but I've got to work extra hard because it's not hard work.
Yeah.
And that got me to a certain point where I climbed the ladder and I think it was quadrupled my wage within 3 or 4 years. But it got me to a certain point where it would then started having a negative impact on me because I was still putting in all the effort that I was to get me to that point. But when you get to a certain point, it comes with added pressures and stress from the job, which is why you get paid the higher wage. And then it was negatively impacting me because of all the responsibility and stress that I was then under and putting myself under rather than the business putting me under. I was doing it to myself because I still had that limiting belief in the back of my head that had served me up to that point. So I think it's important to recognize that they can be good to a certain point, but also have a negative impact as well. So that's kind of an example from my side of things. I don't know, Sarah, I kind of talked over you then a little bit as you were about to say something. What were you going to say?
I think the other word that we often hear with this is self-limiting beliefs, which you've just said that in, isn't it? Because often they're things that we created ourselves or experienced. And I think the thing I found quite difficult over the years, but it links it all together, is what are the beliefs? Is it an emotion? Is it a behavior? Is it a thought? And those are the sort of 3 areas that people often look at to try and unpick a little bit more, because I think that's the thing I found when learning more about this, and then looking at how it affects yourselves when we sort of coached ourselves and each other and things, is what is it? What is that behavior? Is it a behavior? Is it a thought? Where's it come from? And I think it's unpicking it to make it simple, because sometimes because we live them, we don't see them or feel them or hear them. And this is again why coaches are invaluable, isn't it? Because they support you to look at these sorts of things. And I think even now it's quite hard. You've given us a really good example there, Ian. I think that's what I look at with things. I'm quite black and white, and I like examples of things to think, oh, that's what a self-limiting belief is. And the classic is like, I'm not good enough to be a coach, say. Well, where's that come from? So it's asking more questions, isn't it? Where's that come from? Why do you think that? Where did that start? And also, where's the proof? Because often it's debunking it by actually looking at facts and the proof, isn't it? It's like being a little bit like a PI, right, investigator, looking at it. Well, hang on a minute. You're giving a statement out about yourself, but where on earth did that generate from?
Yeah.
But I think with coaching, it can be mind-blowing when you do hit the nail on the head with it, but also it works very differently to like therapy. We talked a bit briefly before that, haven't we, about we're not going deep and dark and whatever. We're just trying to work out, well, that's where it comes from. These are the facts. Do they live up to your self-limiting belief? No, pow, and it's helping that person then, okay, you recognized it, but then what do you do with it? It's that process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes with limiting beliefs as well, sometimes we're aware of them, and there are a lot of times that we're not.
Yeah.
We're not, we have obvious ones that we might be aware of, and we say, do you know what, I'm doing this, I know I'm doing it to myself and I don't know how to stop, let's say. But also we have others that we don't even realize that we're doing them, and we don't even realize they're limiting us. So it's quite a big subject, limiting beliefs, but it actually is essentially either knowing what they are, not knowing what they are, uncovering them, and then deciding which parts of them are good, and then which part is the limiting part, and that's the part that you then need to work on. So it's like it's a layered thing with self-limiting beliefs. That's my sort of opinion on it. And you've all talked in that similar guise, but whether they're sort of recognized or not recognized, or awareness.
Yeah, and it's amazing when you go through it yourself. You go through the process and you go, I did not know that about myself. So that's the exact process I went through for that particular limiting belief. It was like, it's just like a light bulb that goes off. It's like an instant light bulb that goes off in your head, and you're like, oh my God, what have I been doing? It's so strange. It's really, really powerful when you realize what the limiting belief is that you've held, and you're like, oh my God, I can pinpoint exactly where that's come from as well. And then and just to be clear for people as well, it may not be anything meant in a bad way at a time, a limiting belief that was instilled in you. So that example I gave, it was just my dad at the time trying to instill in me hardworking values. He just wanted me to live up to someone who works hard at what they do.
Yeah.
That's all he was trying to do. That's it. So in my eyes, there's nothing bad about that at all. But I just kind of took it a bit too far.
I do think
it's how we internalize things, isn't it? It's our perspective, which is, wherever that behavior comes from, whether we've learned it from someone else, the way we deal with it will be different to anyone else, because we are all individuals. So it's how we internalize it. So I hope, listeners, that has helped a bit with that self-limiting beliefs, or just limiting beliefs.
I'll just add on to that as well, just going on from something Ian said, if I may quickly. You don't always know, you can't always discover where that self-limiting belief has come from. So Ian's got a very good example, and he has a very vivid memory of that. But sometimes you will notice, and you'll figure out something that's holding you back, but you won't know where it's coming from. But that doesn't stop you from moving forward to turn that, you can almost flip it, turn that limiting belief into some sort of empowering belief that's going to serve you and move you forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, perfect. So what about mindset? So whether it says things like, I see written a lot, transform your mindset, or, trying to think of the other example. Somebody sort of, my brain's a bit slow tonight. Somebody pick me up on that, because mindset is, it's the way we think about something. Okay. It's, and I always liken it to, for me, positive mindset, negative mindset, glass half full, glass half empty. That's how I see it. So that's how I see mindset, because I think it is about, mindset often is created by things that we believe, things that we see, things that we take in, things we listen to. So and those things go into our mind. Now, sometimes those things in our mind are really positive things. They're things we want to keep there. It's a great mindset to have. But then sometimes we're taking in stuff that we don't realize. It's like a belief that we think is true because we feel that, but actually the reality of it could be very different. It may not actually be the truth. It just might be something that we've taken in from somewhere, and it's more of an opinion based thing rather than a belief. And it's being able to take something like that, and a coach then helps you change that mindset around it by giving you sort of like the questions that see the blind spots that you've missed around that particular subject or particular wording or whatever it is. So that's how I always like a mindset. I always see it as sort of the up and the down, the half glass, the half glass. I can't say it now. Right, someone take over me words.
So the challenge would be, you mentioned like positive and negative, but the challenge for me, I think, again, the way I work is, how else would you describe the mindset? What other words could you use to describe mindset? Because to me, it's I see it's quite a solid thing that gets people stuck. People can be very stuck with mindset. But again, often they don't even recognize they have that. So how else could we describe mindset for people?
I think it's a growth orientated attitude. It's changing your mindset to become a growth mindset, as opposed to a mindset that's set in stone, if you want, for want of it. So when you said sort of solid, that sort of just reminded me of stone. So for me, I would say it's developing a growth orientated mindset.
Absolutely. And that's kind of one of the key things that I go through with my clients, is cultivating a growth mindset, because everyone that goes through a coaching program is going to come across issues when they go through that coaching program. They're going to come across sticking points where they're just like, oh, whatever. No, I can't do that. Not going to, whatever those limiting beliefs are that we've just been talking about. But then they've got to have the mindset to be able to push through those limiting beliefs. And what I touch on a lot with my clients in particular is having that growth mindset, which you've just kind of alluded to there. And it's all about understanding that for my clients in particular, things are going to go wrong. They will fail at certain points, because obviously we go through setting up a business, etc. So things are going to go wrong. Things are going to get difficult, and they will see things as failure. But we need to understand that it's not a failure. There is no failure until you give up. There are just lessons to be learned. So it's kind of flipping, not flipping, but turning around the way you think about scenarios. That's how I view it. It's trying to turn a negative scenario into something that you can use to build on moving forward. Does that make sense? I feel like I waffled a bit there.
Moving forward. I think that's the thing. And I felt it a lot through my journeys. I get very static with things, whereas really, as a coach, I'm just challenging. It's all challenging to move forward. However small that movement forward is, it doesn't matter. You're moving forward, isn't it? even if you're dealing with a negative situation and you're challenging it, you're doing something with it. And I think sometimes, you know, we've said already, you can have real light bulb moments. You think, wow. But these small movements, if they're regular,
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
powerful as the big stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I think, you know, it is all the small steps going forward, and your mindset is, I kind of look at it and I talk to people about mindset being your own perception of your world. So how you're sitting in your head looking out at the world happening around you, and where you are in that space, and how you hold that space. Your mindset is what determines all of your actions, pretty much. So if you feel as though, when you're working with, say, Ian, and you're developing and you're doing something new in the business strategy that he puts forward for you and or with you, and it goes wrong, you know, where are you in that? What are you learning from that? How are you going to move forward from that? All of that is down to you and your mindset, because two people could come at you with exactly the same qualifications, history, family, upbringing, life, whatever, but because they're living in their own mindset out there, you know, they are going to react differently to the same stimulus or whatever situation that happens. So it's a very personal thing, although you do get, you know, growth mindset and all the other that we've talked about. It's just a very personal thing on how you react. So all of that comes from your beliefs, comes from what you believe, and you just, you know, you can work moving forward to develop that to be a mindset that you want, that will help you, that will support your dreams and your whatever you're, you know, looking to do.
Yeah, there's something Rich Litvin, who's a coach I listen to a lot. He's got a wonderful podcast. I actually can't remember the name of it now.
He's very good.
He is very good. I'll remember the name of it and we'll link it in the show notes. But he says what you say in the world is what you see in the world and what you are in the world. And so it all links back. So what you're saying, if you're constantly saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm not good enough," that kind of thing, you see and start to believe that you're not good enough, and so you come across as someone who isn't good enough. And so for me as well, a part of the mindset is catching yourself when you're saying these things and understanding that you need to start saying things differently, because that's where it starts. So start to say things differently. And this is where these kind of affirmations come from, and people may think, oh, that's a load of hippie nonsense or whatever, but it's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff. You may be embarrassed to say it out loud in front of yourself in a mirror or whatever it is, or you might not want your partner to hear you when you're saying it because you're a little embarrassed about it or whatever, but it's really powerful stuff. It really is. And that's where it kind of starts from. So what you say in the world is what you see in the world and is what you are in the world. I think that's really
Lovely.
Yeah.
it's a real
that's a
powerful
good
thing.
round up to that one, I think. Well done, Ian. The next one I think on our list is clarity, and I'm going to hand that straight over to Dee, because that actually is part of your statement. Am I not right, Dee?
Absolutely, yes,
There
I
you go.
am. Yes, clarity and
She's the
transformation.
expert on clarity.
You know, I have to say, I absolutely love being a clarity coach, because it's about getting into all the nitty-gritty details of people's lives and their worlds, and for them to discover them all, find some kind of order in often a chaotic mind, chaotic space that they're in, and just work through each of them. Prioritizing is a big thing with you know, finding clarity, but getting yourself in a position where you can see. I mean, I know it's a metaphor really, but you know, where you can see clearly what you're doing. And when I sit there with a client and we're talking about clarity, and they're saying to me, well, I've got this and I've got this and this and this and this, and I work through it. It's quite slow process sometimes, because you really have to figure out what each aspect of their life and what they're coming to you with is, for a start, how important it is, and where they see it going. So clarity is sorting your life out. That's the East End in me coming out, you know. It's
that vision of clear. I have a vision of being really clear, like clear water and freshness and
peace.
and prioritizing, knowing what your priorities are, and knowing what you can actually just shelve, just get rid of, isn't it?
We do all carry around a lot of stuff we don't need to worry about and think about. And, you know, I'm a big one, and I know my family members will tell you this as well. You know, if you can't make it change, if you can't change something, don't spend your energy, your effort, your time, your brain space thinking about it, worrying about it. There's a lot of peace that comes out from just accepting that, you know, certain things are certain things, but I'm going to change the things I can change. And you know, and that's bandied about everywhere in theology, religion, and you know, in so many things. But even in the coaching world, you know, it is important to understand that there are things that you can't change, that are not down to you. That's your outer circle. But it's your inner circle work, that you work on the things that you can change. You'll get clarity through working on these things, and you'll also make a huge difference.
Yeah, brilliant, beautifully put.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, I just think of it as being, like you said, Sarah, the word clear comes into my head all the time when I think about clarity. So it's about being clear on what I want, what I'm trying to achieve, what my values are, what my weaknesses are, as well as being clear on those, you know, and my strengths. So it's having a very, very clear picture of what you want, how you fit into that, what you've got to do to get that. You know, and I think, like, I totally think Dee's right. Sometimes it is a process. Sometimes it can be a slow process because there's a lot. Because sometimes you might think you want to do 6 different things, but you don't know which one is right. So then it's working out which one is right. And as coaches, we have a habit of doing that, trying to do 6 different things. Sorry about that. Stop it.
You're going to cut that bit, Ian.
I don't think
please.
Not cutting any of this. Snorts and all.
And I think the other thing that we could throw in there is it changes. Yeah, I think with coaching as well, you coach somebody with a particular problem at the particular time, but 6 months down the line, it could be something completely different. So that it's recognizing the flexibility within that actually life is a journey, life moves on, things change. It's how you interact with that, and the clarity. I think it's a beautiful word. You know, it's like peace and clarity. If you can find some of that within the bits that you're doing and know what really floats your boat and where you want to go, it's just seeing that pathway clearly as you move forward. It's lovely.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think another word that goes really... Oh, sorry,
go on.
I was just going to say, I think another word that goes really well with clarity is transformative. Now, if I say transformation, I think we all have a rough idea of what that means. But often you see the word transformative in coaching, and I actually find that a little bit of a scary word.
Yeah, it's a bit big.
Because all of a sudden I think, oh, I've got to become somebody else. I've got to, you know, I'm not good. I need to be something else or somebody else. I always see that word as a little scary when I first got into the coaching world, because, you know, what if I don't like the person I transform into, you know? But I think obviously now we're in the coaching world, we understand that a little bit differently. So I see it as the transformative journey for me is getting rid of the stuff that's not serving me. So some of the words that we've already used, the self-limiting beliefs, it's getting rid of that stuff, and then when you become clear, you start to move on your journey, and then you transform into that journey that you want. So it's not about, you know, changing you as a person, whether that's physical or internal. the journey will change you because you want that journey. But it's not about having to change. It's about changing to suit the journey that you want to follow. That's how I see transformative. And if anybody else got any sort of ideas on that?
I think
Yeah, because I was thinking,
I was going to say, to simplify it, because this is what we're looking at, debunking the words, aren't we? To me, transformation is change, isn't it? So if I was talking to Joe Bloggs and they were saying, well, what does transformation mean? Because this is what we're doing. It's facilitating change as a coach, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think, like what you said, there's a lot of scariness about this. There's got to be a lot of fear, which you've already mentioned, and it's given that person the opportunity to feel that fear, but then move anyway, do something with it. And I think it's changing your mindset, your thinking towards somebody, and the influence they may have on you, isn't it? So you don't necessarily sort of say, oh, right, I'm moving on and leaving this, that, and the other. But you just have that clarity to decide, actually, I'm changing the way I think about that now. Because that doesn't, the other thing I did want to bring in, we've used doesn't serve me a lot. We've used that's the real jargon. So I think we need to debunk that a bit, because that's like, what does to serve me mean? What's that mean? So how would you define that in an easier way, a more tangible, understandable way to help you? Is it like to help you?
Is it good for me?
Is it good for me? Yeah.
I think if it serves me, it's good for me. If it doesn't serve me, it's not good for me.
Yeah. That's quite a nice, simple format for that as well. Yeah. Is it going to help me get where I need to go, or is it not? It's that sort of double-edged coin. And I was just thinking, we've been going through these words, and I'm thinking about all of our coaching niches, which I think we've all spoken about before. But all these, I mean, if I said self-limiting beliefs, mindset, what was the next one we talked about? Clarity, transformation. It's probably the 4 pillars that we all about. We're all laughing now because we all know what Belinda says. Okay, so for the listeners out there, Belinda has a problem with this word, and it's usually pillows.
We won't say why.
We're not saying what.
But I believe that all of our coaching goes through that. Every one of our clients, whether they're Ian for business, for online business, Dee for bricks and mortar business, whether they're Sarah as an adoptee coach, or whether they're me as finding your voice, they are actually the core pillars that underline most coaching.
I think this is why, again, when we looked at the definition of coaching, and with our first episode, we looked at that more, didn't we? And when they said you can coach anybody, that again reinforces the fact you can coach anybody. We've all got very different areas of work, but the core principles are, as we discussed.
And I think it's the core skills as a coach. They are your core skills as a coach. But we all have niches that we want to coach in, that we're passionate about, we may know more about, we may resonate with more. But there are core principles and core things that we learn as coaches that we can use. And I know this probably sounds a bit strange, use them on our clients, but we use them on ourselves daily, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
For decisions that we have to make, for things that we have to do. And it annoys the living daylights out of my husband when I'll say to him, so what's that going to achieve?
Does that serve you?
I don't know if you do it with your other half, but I just have this, I will say, he'll go to me, oh my God, she's talking coach speak again.
Yeah.
I just get called a tosser.
Luckily my dogs don't talk, so I'm all right.
Generally what it's really great for is debunking arguments. These statements and quotes really work when you're having an argument.
Well, they do to a certain level, then they just make the other person even more frustrated, don't they? It's like,
What? No, why? Where does that anger come from?
Do you know, going back a little bit, I think coaching and getting coaching, and said all our different niches, but Sarah, you touched on this. Being coached really builds and brings about a higher level of self-awareness. You know, you get to know yourself. I'm not going to say better, because what's better anyway? It's so subjective, you know, but through coaching, and I found this in my own journey, you know, you get to know yourself, you get to know your strengths and things that you've never really thought about yourself. They start to come through, and you're feeling like you can, you know, you've just got an internal power that grows through coaching. And I don't know where the coach speak is there, but I just thought I wanted to share that right now, because as you were talking, I
I
was
think it's
feeling
understanding yourself.
yes,
You know, you said
absolutely.
it's about understanding yourself, because in years gone past, there were things that I would happen emotionally or whatever, and why am I doing that? You know, but we never really questioned it before we became coaches, I don't think, because we didn't really know how. I think that's the word. Yeah.
I mean, it's such a huge topic, isn't it? You know, we could talk about habits, and we could talk about, you know, changing habits and fears and all this sort of stuff that comes in. And I think habits would be a really good episode title. Ian, write that on your list.
Yeah.
Yes, boss.
How to change habits.
I mean, there's just a few words there that we've hit on tonight, and I think those words are very commonly used in the coaching world. So I'm really hoping that now, if you're thinking about getting coaching and you read some of those words, you won't be so scared of them or worried about what they mean. And remember, if you are embarking on, you know, taking on a coach, ask. When you speak to them, ask those questions. Nothing, we feel silly about asking about things, but there's never a silly question if you don't know the answer. That's one thing I always live by. And if you're a coach coming into the world thinking of becoming a coach, or you're an up and coming coach, think about how you talk to your audience, whatever your audience is, because I think, if I was being honest, Ian's audience, your business audiences might understand these words a little bit more. Whereas I think for me, you know, I'm helping women find their voices, Serio and Adopteenish. Sometimes those words are harder to understand. So, you know, whatever it is, and wherever you're at, whether you're, say, becoming a coach or looking for a coach, always ask the question to whoever.
Yeah. And on that point as well, you know, I actually can absolutely remember the first time I heard limiting beliefs, and it was about 3 years ago. I was watching something, and the trainer said limiting beliefs, and I didn't have a clue, you know, and I remember that feeling of not knowing what it was. So then, you know, I just went off and sort of figured it out and worked it out, and I still didn't understand what it meant for a long time. You know, it's something that you just develop in your own understanding. So everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody has to, you know, and take that first step.
And along the way, you'll find your own way of debunking the myths and all this.
And your way might not be the same as somebody else.
Make it your language that suits, and just be flexible when you're speaking to others to make sure they understand it.
Yeah.
That's the important bit.
Yes, it's the understanding.
vital, really.
That's all that matters at the end of the day, isn't it?
But essential. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think we're going to wrap up another session for today, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We hope we have debunked what you asked us to debunk. We hope we have made it clearer and not more confusing, and looking forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Watch this space.